gardeningfever.com. It is very heartbreaking to watch plants fail to thrive, yet they have been tended to and a lot of time invested on them. Failure of plants to do well may be as a result of them being infected with common plant diseases of various kinds. However, other times the plants might not be suffering from a disease but could just be requiring a little attention and actions such as water addition to them or even shifting them to a sunnier spot. Therefore, farmers should pay attention as they observe their plants in order to determine whether the plant failure is due to common plant disease or a correctable factor. Common plant diseases are caused by several factors and occur in various forms such as aphids, blackroot rot, blights, cankers, leaf curls, rusts, wilts, Stewart's wilting, angular leaf spot, mealy bugs, Anthracnose, aphids. Aphids are small sap-sucking insects and have a bulbous abdomen and can be many different colors. They are among the most destructive pests to affect cultivated plants. Identification. It is brought about by warm environments and high contents of nitrogen in the soil. It is identified by bugs that appear to be small, green or yellow in color. Treatment. It is treated by wiping infected plants using soapy water or rather using rubbing alcohol. Blackroot rot. Blackroot rot is caused by the fungus Thelaviopsis basicola. Plants affected by blackroot rot may show above-ground symptoms that are not diagnostic in of themselves and can be confused with other root rot diseases or general nutrient deficiencies. Identification. The combination of high temperatures and the dampness of the soil, roots begin to rot. They appear to have blackened areas. Also, foliage of these plants may appear stunted. By checking on the foliage of plants for this kind of signs will be a sure way to discover this disease. Treatment. The appropriate way to deal with this particular disease is the application of fungicides on the affected plants, as it would help correct the issue effectively. Blights. Blight is a disease that is responsible for most sudden deaths of leaves, flowers and stems of plants. There are various kinds of blight including early blights. Early blight often occurs at any given time during the growing season with relatively high temperatures accompanied by wet humid conditions. This causes it to spread rapidly. First symptoms are usually on the lower leaves. For potato tubers, they tend to develop dark spots that seem sunken. Treatment. The best thing to do is to prevent plants from suffering early blight. This is achieved by ensuring the disposing off of infected plants. On the other hand, the farmer is required to space out plants in a way that they are able to breathe as air is able to circulate freely between the plants. Also, seeds ought to be purchased from trusted sources to ensure that they are of high quality and healthy as well. plants should be checked frequently, especially during wet climates, to ensure that in case a sign of blight is detected, then the corrective action is taken without allowing it more time to spread. Fire blights. This is a bacterial disease that mostly affects fruits such as apples, pears, fruit trees and small fruits. Often, affected shoots are usually a bit blackened. Also, farmers may tend to notice lesions on branches as well as limbs oozing an orangish-brown fluid during extremely warm days. Treatment. Fire blight should be treated the soonest to ensure that it does not spread to the entire fruit tree, as it may kill it. The farmer should put on some protective gloves and add 4 cups of water to a bowl. Pour in a cup of bleach to the large bowl containing water slowly to ensure that it does not splash out. Stir the mixture using a spoon. Go ahead and prune all the branches that are affected by fire blight using a pair of shears. Immerse the shears in the bleach solution created after each cut so as to ensure that the infection is not spread. Carefully cut off all the branches at least 12 inches below the last branch, which appears wilted as well as discolored. Late blights. This disease is known to infect flowers such as holly. It causes dieback of shoots and stem cankers of these flowers. On the other, late blight can also affect potatoes, tomatoes and peppers. The very first symptoms are the occurrence of water-soaked spots on leaves that are on the lower sections. These spots later grow bigger and are mirrored with a white downy growth on the undersurface of the leaf. Occasionally, during the wet seasons, the affected plant will often rot and eventually die. Treatment. As prevention remains of key importance, treatment measures are also a necessity to prevent infected plants from dying. The disease can be prevented by ensuring that during the wet seasons, branches of plants are kept off the ground by use of trellis and plant supports. Use of mulch in plenty can also help to keep this disease away from plants. It is also very healthy to spray plants from below and not above like most people do. Cankers. This disease is often identified by dead sections that are a bit discolored on the stems of plants. Occasionally, they form on woody plants and appear to be cracks, sunken areas or raised areas of dead tissue or abnormal tissues. These sections often ooze or result to girdle trunks or shoots that may at times cause total death of plants. There are several types of cankers or forms in which cankers occur. This disease can be controlled by removal of diseased branches and ensuring limitation of pruning cuts. Leaf curls. This is a fungal disease that causes leaves of many trees to appear distorted. There are different types of this kind of plant disease, such as the peach leaf curl. Often, it attacks almonds as well as peaches and is identified by pale new leaves and failure of the midrib to grow along with the leaves, thus causing them to curl and pucker as they expand. The fruit may also get damaged and unfortunately the tree may eventually die as a result of leaf curl disease. Rusts. This is a disease that is caused by fungal infections and requires two different species of plants to use as hosts in order to complete their life cycle. They are identified by light tan to rust-hued coating. They often appear on small twigs and needles at first. Treatment. It is best to control this plant disease by allowing plants free space that is adequate to allow free circulation of air. Besides, application of neem oil can be very helpful at preventing this disease because it is responsible for killing the spores on leaves. In case the plant disease develops, the infected plants should be removed and eventually burnt when autumn season comes. On the other hand, some types of rusts can be controlled by removing the alternate hosts, as it would help to ensure that an outbreak does not occur. Wilts. Often, wilting is usually brought about by plants failing to get adequately watered. However, permanent wilting may be brought about by cases where fungi or bacteria infect plants that are in the wilting process. Permanent wilting will eventually lead to death of infected plants. There are different types of wilt, including Verticillium wilting. This refers to a fungal disease that is known to attack a variety of fruits, vegetables, ornamentals as well as flowers. This disease causes plants to wilt, and the end result is usually causing them to turn yellow. Treatment. Treatment of this disease is impossible, as it is incurable the moment it enters the plant. The only option is to ensure the removal of the affected plant and destroying them completely. In cases where it's the branch of a plant that is affected, then cutting off the infected region, preferably the area below the symptoms, would greatly help to slow down or rather reduce the spread of the disease. Stewart's wilting. This is a bacterial-caused disease that is usually widespread on sweet corn, often grown in the eastern regions of the United States of America as well as Canada. It is usually identified by decaying of the crown, bleached or yellow streaks on the leaf, as well as the internal vascular discoloration. Often, bacterial slime usually oozes out of the stalks or leaves once they are cut. The end result is usually the death of the plant. If the plant survives death, then it might end up being sufficiently stunted to an extent that no ears are produced. Mealy bugs. This plant disease is attracted by overwatering of plants as well as soil with excess levels of nitrogen. Identification. It is identified by small, white insects that have a white coating that appears fluffy. Treatment. The disease is managed by removal of affected plants manually using rubbing alcohol or using of insecticide. To avoid spreading of disease, try to avoid working in the garden when plants are wet. It is not recommended to compost infected leaves to prevent overwintering of fungal spores. Anthracnose. Anthracnose is caused by fungi. Infected plants develop dark, water-soaked lesions on stems, leaves or fruit. Anthracnose can reduce a beautiful harvest into rotted waste in just a few days. Identification. This disease is identified by leaf tips turning yellow and eventually turning to brown. Treatment. Remove and destroy any infected plants in your garden. For trees, prune out the dead wood and destroy the infected leaves. You can try spraying your plants with a copper-based fungicide, though be careful because copper can build up to toxic levels in the soil for earthworms and microbes. For trees, try a dormant spray of Bordeaux mix. For more information about plants care and diseases, visit our website www.gardeningfever.com. Please like and share our video and don't forget to subscribe our channel.